Welcome to Harrachov in Czechoslovakia for the competition that will decide the World Ski Flying Championship of 1992. Today's competition added together with the results from yesterday, in which Japan's Noriaki Kasai reigned supreme with a ski flying jump of 182 meters. Well, scheduled today, 3 jumps with each competitor's 2 best results, as usual, added together. But stormy, windy conditions around this hill at Harrachov, which is quite controversial, already causing delays and problems this morning. The competition here, the ski flying competition on the really big hill which hosted the World Championships in 1983, where the competitors get up to speeds of 108 kilometers on the in-run and then stretch out for distances of 180 meters. The hill record, 183 meters, held by the Polish ski jumper Piotr Fijas, and sorry, I should say by Ole Gunnar Fijestål of Norway. And yesterday, 24 hours ago, we were just within a meter of that. The hill record, that is the world's best, Piotr Fijas, 194 meters at Planica. Well, we're going to take a little break and then come back for the first of the 3 jumps here at Harrachov.
Euros.
Man to jump, son of a very famous ski jumper. This is Jiří Jaška, whose father in 1968 at Grenoble took Olympic gold and silver medals. Jiří is really rather setting out on his career. Didn't compete 24 hours ago in the first competition, but in speed 106 kilometers, so just a little lower, and that's just about the 120 meter mark, perhaps a meter or so more. Not a favorite hill by many of the ski jumpers here, quite controversial because it isn't built into the hillside, it's rather above it, standing above it with little protection, and the wind swirls around the top, particularly coming from the left side of the ski jumper, and it can really cause problems as well as a little lottery in terms of the conditions. 2 crashes yesterday. Andy Goldberger, the young Austrian, with a damaged collarbone and some concussion, and Franciszek Jeś, who got a nasty whack on his backside when he crashed as well. Well, both of those men happily back at Harrachov after a visit to the hospital, and things looking a little brighter for them, mercifully, this morning. Goldberger's crash particularly unattractive, and it's good to see that he's at least back with the Austrian team. But as I said, this hill not a favorite with a large number of ski jumpers. It was built in 1980, and it's a pretty controversial construction. The hill itself, the problems compounded by the creation of an alpine downhill run where some more trees were taken away, and that causes even greater wind problems. So wind on the in-run, and also that's coming from their left side, just over their left shoulder, and also a bad patch of air. Immediately they take off, and they've got to get through and over that till they get to the greater pressure of the hill, and then they can extend the flight. But it's a hill in which some will hesitate and others will be nervous, and it's the men who can just hold it all together today who really are the ones who will get the long distances. But they'll all be very conscious of this hill's problems. Now here's Werner Heim for Austria, taking the place of Andy Goldberger, who, as I said, is back, but of course not jumping. And Heim gets in, a fair opener. He competed in Oberstdorf just before the Olympic Games in the Ski Flying World Cup competitions. There were 2 there. He was 15th and 7th, 139 meters the distance for him. 5 judges marking out of style as for usual, and he takes the early lead. Highest and lowest marks are taken away. The 3 remaining added to the distance points, which are averaged out once 10 jumpers have completed their first jumps. So a little bit more complicated, the scoring system, but the computer doing all the hard work for us. And Zagriaski of the Commonwealth of Independent States, not very memorable, his performances yesterday. We should have seen Jim Holland jump at number 3 for the United States, but he had a disappointing day and has pulled out of the competition. And this isn't going to be long either. Got a little bit of air there underneath him as he left the end of the in run and hands down on the snow, and the style marks will disappear rapidly. And that looked all of 80 meters, maybe a few meters more. Look at that one mark there, and that's because he touched the snow. Wolfgang Slavik of Czechoslovakia giving him just 1 out of 20 for style, but those are the rules. But he has 3 jumps if the weather conditions hold up, and this will be the one he wants to throw away. So just 55 points, not a score to remember. Now 4 should have been Andy Felder of Austria, but like Jim Holland, Andy Felder, the 3rd best ski jumper in the season-long World Cup, deciding not to take part today because really his poor performances in yesterday's competition have ruled him out of contention for this particular World Championship discipline. So Yuri Harrachov for Japan from Hokkaido, his first effort of the day. And again, not beating 90 meters. This first round starting a little over an hour late because of the windy conditions. We've had some snow as well earlier this morning. And 87 meters. But it's his teammate Kasai who leads the World Championship standings after yesterday's competition. 2 jumps of 182 meters, and of course the crowd here hoping that that sort of performance will be equaled or indeed better. Now Ivan Vuillemot for Switzerland from Le Brassou Ski Club. 127 meters was his best performance 24 hours ago, and he's going to need to improve on that because the World Championship is decided by adding together the total number of points achieved 24 hours ago in ski flying competition number 1 and today's event. And just to complicate affairs, these competitions over the weekend here also counting for World Cup points, both in the ski flying and overall divisions. So lots of tables will be adjusted. You could see those ski tips come up really hard as the wind conditions change there. And 2-footed, not getting the telemark on landing, and not a great jump. Over 100 meters, as you can see, 105. Just to mention also that Tony Nieminen and Martin Holvart, 2 of the stars of the season, 16-year-old Finn and the 17-year-old Austrian, they're not jumping here today. They're at Finland for the Junior World Championships, and 1 or 2 other notable names not here either. Neither Heinz Kutin of Austria, who doesn't really fancy jumping the V-style on this really long, big hill. Vettori also, the Olympic champion on the 90-meter hill. He doesn't fancy ski flying here either. And a field of 35, not exactly an advertisement for ski flying. Just 11 countries, no Finns here at all. Only 2 Germans in the start list. And I think the governing body of the sport might have considered a little bit more the feelings of the ski jumpers and coaches about this particular construction, which is not an attractive one for them. There's a lot of good ski flying hills around, but this certainly doesn't rank amongst them. It's quite controversial, and on occasions this hill can be really dangerous. Per Inge Tallberg of Sweden, the taller of the 2 brothers, the older of the 2 as well. Tallberg didn't really figure too much yesterday, taking a pause there while the coach looks at the wind conditions. You can see the flag there from the jumper's left, pretty breezy and strong, and causing Paul Inge to just pause and wait until conditions are right. There's only a certain amount of time these jumpers are allowed to wait under normal circumstances. In fact, those of you who were with us in Oslo a week ago for the Holmenkollen will have seen that Heinz Kutin was ordered off the starting gate because he took too much time there. He was actually disqualified for the competition. And here we have a man who has no other choice but to wait, but it's waiting for his own safety and security, which is a different matter. Kasai, the best jumper, ahead of Andy Goldberger. Nobody beat that young man for second place yesterday, despite his fall in the third round. Cecon for Italy is in third place for the World Championship, ahead of Czechoslovakia's Thomas Goeder. And then Duffner for Germany. Those are the first five. The best of yesterday's jumpers, those who lead the rankings for the 1992 Ski Flying World Championship, they are drawn in reverse order, so the best will come last in this start list of 35 on the hill at Harrachov. Just about 90 minutes north of the Czechoslovakian capital, Prague. Take you that sort of time to drive here. 120 kilometers the distance. And the town known for its glass manufacturer, glass blowing. But look at those clouds ahead of, or above, I should say, the head of Par Inge Thalberg. Ski flying, first competition dating back to 1972 in Planica. And we've had 12 editions since that time. And Thalberg just waiting patiently. Just beginning to take his position. Remember, it needs to keep that upper body nice and tight to the thighs parallel to the skis, then building up the speed, and then he's got literally a couple of hundredths of a second as he approaches the end of the in-run in which to straighten the legs in an explosive manner, using the quick fibers, and then to extend that power into forward and vertical flight. Good speed, but again, the wind, anything but helpful, and he's crept over 100 meters, and the crowd, a few groans, and the style, you can see some of the judges taking off more than 50%. He was never in a good flying position. He was never able to get into it in the first place, but he's not been in his best form this season. 25th in the second World Cup competition of ski flying in Oberstdorf, but yet to break into the top 20. Well, Jan Boklov of Sweden, the World Cup champion of '89, who just in recent days has been finding his best form. Boklov, 125 meters in yesterday's competition, not threatening the best, but as I say, coming back. Getting in there, a little two-footed on landing, but he's over 125 meters, 128 meters the distance. It's not the longest. Werner Heim still is with 139, but that's a better effort. Second place at the moment, and 10 out of 20 from the Japanese judge, but that low mark together with the high mark discarded. Now Župan for Slovenia, the next man to challenge. From the Kranj Ski Club, Župan. Well, the ski position wasn't terribly attractive, but he's got over 130 meters. In fact, he's got over 135 meters. And 136 meters. So that's not a bad effort there. He's 3 meters short of Werner Heim, but it's going to push him presumably into second place at the moment, indeed. Drawn 11 today, Goran Jaroš, another Slovenian jumper, jumped 128 meters 24 hours ago. Coming up to his 22nd birthday. and gaining experience. He's had one or two good performances on the ski flying hills. The best of them, an 8th place in Austria at Kulm last season. But this hill has a peculiarity all of its own. Well, the timing wasn't perfect, but he's just about where he was yesterday, at least in this opening jump. 128, no, he's just a metre shorter, 127 metres for Gordon. Puts him 4th at the moment. The highest mark for Stahl, 14 out of 20, the lowest 13. Well, now Stefan Horngacker. Well, this man's won a ski flying competition before now. Bad Mittendorf in Austria. Austrian snow, home snow for him last season. So already proven at this particular discipline, and a man who likes to fly. You're in the air in the ski flying hill for about 5 or 6 seconds, and the distance you're covering almost 2 football pitches. Stefan just broadening the skis. One of so many jumpers that have been trying to convert from the classic style where the skis are together parallel to the V formation, or the broadening of the skis, which is a halfway house between the two. And he gets 122 meters. And he, like 1 or 2, will be hoping that the 2nd and 3rd rounds are going to be better. America, well, Jim Holland, who should have gone earlier, didn't, but this man, Tad, or John Langlois, as he's known, as bib 13. Again, didn't really figure amongst the leaders at all 24 hours ago. 3 jumps of about the 125 meter mark, not threatening, leaving him in 24th place. So a chance to improve. And not getting a great deal of speed at the top of the in-run. Yes, it's about 120 again, a little less than yesterday's efforts so far. Judges looking at all the different phases of the jump. Takeoff, the flight, the landing, in particular the landing, the telemark where one knee is bent ahead of the other, and that's the classic style which they like to see. 121 meters for Langlois, a little bit down the field. Markus Geller for Switzerland. Swiss, a good young squad, a lot of them jumping in the V-style. But Freiholz, who's not here, Zund, who is, both of them have quite an exaggerated, quite a wide V, which makes it just that little bit more difficult to avoid the air coming between the body and the skis. Those that find the halfway point, the broadening of the skis, seem to be doing the better at the moment. Gela getting a fair distance, over 130 meters, but nothing like the critical point of today's hill, 180 meters. That's the distance set by the jury. 139, so that equals the distance of Werner Heim. The style is a touch better, and he takes the lead. The face mask will tell you that it's an Italian. They all, for their own personal choice, prefer to wear that. You will see Patile and Lunardi and Cecon all sporting the same equipment. 20 comes from Predazzo, nothing of note yet in the world of ski flying. chance now to change that. A lot of movement early on in the flight, got over the difficult part of air, and that's again another about 135-meter jump. Well, in fact, 134 the distance, given electronic video equipment adjudicating the distance, but backed up by judges lined along the hill, and 14.5s by most of the judges' agreement on his performance. Now, Kenny Suda for Japan. Fourth with the Japanese team in the Olympic Games. A little bit of form at Trondheim on the big hill there a couple of weeks ago when he was 22nd. The best, though, he had this season was a 7th place in the World Cup on the big hill on home snow in Japan at Sapporo in December. So it's a while since he's had a high-scoring performance. Not bad, really got some nice flight there, but not getting a distance much longer than Pertile, maybe a little, oh yes indeed, 1 meter longer, but not significant, the lead, and Gala of Switzerland still leads the competition at the moment. Pertile close up along with Werner Heim. Well, now Switzerland again. Stefan Zund about to challenge his teammate. This is the 22-year-old who is the World Cup, the season-long champion of ski flying. He won that title last year. Of course, this year's competition still in progress. The jumps at Oberstdorf counting forward to today's competition as well. At the moment, Stefan Zund not really figuring in that. He was only 7th and 6th at Oberstdorf. He's just been a little away from his best form throughout the whole of the year. Those tips coming up hard there, just a big sign of some bad wind as he gets hit by the wind that's coming back up the hill at him. And over 100, but 112 meters, that's not a very, very successful first effort for him. Really is difficult to jump on this hill. Masahiko Harada from Hokkaido, good jumper. Again, another man who just missed out on Olympic honors. He was 4th in the individual competition on the big hill at Courchevel in the Olympic Games, and 4th also with the Japanese team. In recent weeks, though, he's been peppering the top 15 in the World Cup on both the 90 and 120 meter hills. So he's in good form at the moment. Having said that, yesterday's efforts on the ski flying hill here at Harrachov, nothing to really shout about. And Harada dropping in there just about 130 meters. Well, that's almost as good as he did yesterday. He had a 134-meter jump on the 3rd and final round. And he's in the top 10 at the moment. So Werner Ratmar of Austria. Well, this man looked to have a favourite's chance arriving here. He won both of the World Cup ski flying competitions at Oberstdorf just before the Olympic Games. That gave him 50 points and set him up nicely. But yesterday, I'm afraid, was a different affair. He's been in decent form, nothing wrong with his ski jumping. But yesterday, he was jumping 141 meters. That was the best of his 3 jumps, and that was 40-odd meters short of the best. And it left him down in 18th place for the day. Ooh, well, you can see how difficult it is when the air doesn't run for you. Oh, that's a poor opener there. He's got over 100 meters, but look at the style marks. 3/8 out of 20, a 9 and a 9.5. tips up really late. Now watch what happens now. Yeah, it's the change in wind, the change in pressure underneath the skis, and down he comes. But happily, it's a safe landing. Igor Strega for Slovenia. Oh, it's short. Never got any flight or any speed, never converted anything there, really. Now just watch these for style marks. That couldn't be much more than 70 meters. 72 meters for Strega, and down he goes. 20 of those who've started or are drawn today, but remember, without Jim Holland and Andy Felder, it means that he has the poorest of the marks so far. Big long 240 centimeter skis there of Staffan Thalberg. Paringa, his brother, has already gone, achieved 102 meters. Generally, Staffan in much better form than his brother throughout the season, so we'd expect a longer jump. So far, we haven't seen anyone go further than 139. Well, a few scissors, that's better. That's over 140 meters. And the longest jump of the morning here, 146 meters. And that should be good enough to take the lead. Style Fair losing just about 25% of his marks. But Staffan, who's 21 years of age, with a win in Planica on the ski flying hill, getting a scissors there. Now, that'll be deducted for style, maybe 1.5 marks. What about the telemark? No, he doesn't get that either. He gets two-footed landing, and those two particular faults are where he lost style marks. Another look from the front. Quite a lot of movement going on throughout the flight. But nonetheless, the distance is good, and he takes the lead. So Ralf Gebstedt, another man who's won on a ski flying hill. His win also coming last year in Planica. And that's a good jump there. And that looks to be the best jump so far by some way. So suddenly the competition bringing the crowd alive. 146 from Thalberg, and this is 159. Gebstedt of Germany. And it was his teammate 12 months ago at Planica, Andre Kiesewetter, who threatened to set a new world's best when he touched down at 196 meters, but unfortunately his bottom touched the snow and it wasn't allowed to stand as a world best. But Gebstedt, that's much better than yesterday. He got 143 as a best here, and now 159. Arms nicely by side, gets the little twist of the skis, but the body goes parallel with him. That's fine. Some movement on the left ski, very difficult to control, but he's the new leader. Well, now Magne Johansson. And another man missing off the start list today, Jiří Palmer of Czechoslovakia. And that's disappointing for the home crowd. Ooh, that's disappointing for Magne. Jiří Palmer, who's had terrific form, but only jumping 152 meters yesterday. Back and really out of World Championship contention, and Magne Johansson is not exactly in contention himself. 97 meters and less than 10 out of 20 by all the judges. That 18 was a computer mistake. Now Ole Gunnar Fijestål, world ski flying champion in 1988, fifth last year, or 2 years ago I should say, at Vigersund. He won his title at Oberstdorf. And Fijestål, for whom this has been a major target all season, 161 meters 24 hours ago. And he's that distance again. And Fijestål beginning to make an impression. 16s. Now, is this going to be good enough to take the lead away from Gebstedt? I think it is. So Norway and Fischerstol take the lead. Remember, he's the hill record holder with 183 meters. Look at the body, nice and still, although there's a big difference in height of skis there. That's where he loses some of the style. Well, that's a lovely view showing him going over the hump of the hill, and the pressure there building up. 4 or 5 meters above the hill as he floats down to land. Does he get the telemark? No, not quite. So Fischerstol for Norway takes the lead ahead of Gebstedt for Norway. These are the points from yesterday. Kasai and Goldberger and Cecon. Those are the leaders. We're going to take a little break and then we'll be back for more of the first round. The first round in progress at 35 on the start list today. Not everybody starting. Andy Felder, Jim Holland, 2 absentees along with Jiri Palmer. And this is Espen Bredesen for Norway. 24 from Oslo. And that's not near the 159 meters of Ralf Gebstedt, or indeed the 161 of Ole Gunnar Fischerstol. 124 meters from Bredesen. And a little way back. Hands on hips there. Good shot here of these big skis and the bindings, of course, which allow the heels to come up so that the jumper can assume the ideal body position. Quite interesting, the different position between the classic style and the V-style. The V-style, you really can't see the ground, can't see the landing because of the split of the skis, but on the classic style, much more opportunity to spot the landing. Sakala. Ooh, and that's just going to creep over 110 meters. Sakala in the World Cup of ski flying this season, 11th and 14th at Oberstdorf. That's respectable, but he did 152 meters yesterday. That was his best jump of the 3 that he produced, and 114. He's certainly going to want to discard that today. So not a good opener for him.
Mit Nummer 28, unser nächster Teilnehmer aus Italien.
So the next man to jump should be Ivan Lunardi for Italy. 28. Oh, having said that all the Italians sport the face masks, Ivan Lunardi proves me incorrect. Ooh, and that's going to be short as well. Less than 100 meters. And a few moans and groans from the crowd. And the 18-year-old from Gallio. Yeah, 98 meters and an awful lot of marks for style lost, but that's inevitable. No sooner than he took off, he was already landing. Mikael Martinsson for Sweden. Very much the #1 Swede in the World Cup rankings, and he's 5th in the World Cup of ski flying, 6th in the overall season-long competition, which comes to a close next weekend at Planica in Slovenia. And there'll be a big crowd out to see them. Well, Martinsson, he's been pretty consistent throughout the season. Hasn't managed to win a ski jump. He's come pretty close. In ski flying in the World Cup, he was 3rd and 5th at Oberstdorf, which has given him a really good chance of taking that particular title. Here, though, he finds himself in 5th place after yesterday's jump. 5th because of 1 or 2 absentees. Once again, just to confirm, Andy Goldberger, the Austrian who crashed yesterday, back here at Harrachov. That's good news. Martinsson, and a telemark towards the end there. That's a good effort. It's not as long as Fidgestol, about 150 meters there for Mikael Martinsson. So 11 short of his best of 24 hours ago. Finished 8th in yesterday's competition, but with, as I said, 1 or 2 absentees moving up the order as a result. There's a little trimming there on the left arm, the classic style. It's not a bad effort. And if that's a marker jump, it will give him a gauge of today's conditions. And he might well find some improvement. But Martinsson, really the best ski jumper for Sweden throughout the season. Now Samo Kostiza for Slovenia. From Ljubljana, 19 years of age. 162 meters, his longest jump yesterday. Really nice, attractive broadening of the skis there. That's just short of 150 meters. Frustrated, really wanting to get a lot longer than that. 6th and 9th in Oberstdorf, so he's been in good form. And Kostiza, a young man with a great future ahead of him. 147 meters, 4th place at the moment. So Switzerland, Martin Truns, the 21-year-old. Went over 160. What can he do today? Oh, well, it was wobbly, but it was long. 170 meters and a little bit. And Martin Truns very happy with that. The longest jump of this opening round, 172 meters. So the style here, well, there's a pretty good slice of agreement there. They've been quite decent to him with 17s. The first part of the flight, nice and steady. Then you see the dip there, the pressure changing, so the flight interrupted. But for that, he would have gone a little bit further and looking for the telemark, but in fact settling for a 2-footed landing. Didn't have much choice there with the change of pressure underneath the skis as he came into land. Really is like flying like a bird, more in this discipline than any other in skiing. So now Christoph Duffner. Duffner in 5th place yesterday with a 170-meter jump to his credit. In good form. Good timing. And he's really looking for a long one, and this is awfully long. Oh, that's long. Oh, what a pity. What a pity. That was much, much longer than Martin Truns. It was over 100. In fact, it's over 190 meters. It's a hill record, but it won't be a hill record because he's touched down in the snow. Look at all those star marks that have gone. The distance over 190 meters there. Look at this, his head really comes down. He's looking to spot it down. The crowd suddenly bursting into life. And he lands and then he just pitches forward. What a pity. I hope he's all right. I think he's all right. Soft snow, it has been snowing this morning, and that'll help the landing. 194 meters. Now, if he'd stood up there, that would have equaled the world best set by Piotr Fijas in Planica. But as it is, I'm afraid it's not going to count. And what a pity, because that would have really lifted him up the order for the Ski Flying World Championship of 1992. Well, he's standing up, and that's the best news of all, I have to say. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll be back in Harrachov.
Eurosport. 182 meter i verdensmesterskapet i skiflyvning i Harrachov i går, og vant med det VM-gull siden dagens hopping ble avlyst. Andreas Goldberger fra Østerrike tok andreplassen. Han falt jo stygt i sitt tredje hopp i går, og italieneren Roberto Cecon tok tredjeplassen. Nordmennene Espen Bredesen, Ole Gunnar Fidjestøl og Magne Johansen kom henholdsvis på 11., 12. og 13. plass. Tyskeren Christoph Duffner hadde et kjempehopp på 194 meter i dag. Men han faller rett etter nedslaget, så verdens lengste hopp på 194 meter fra junior-VM i hopp. Lasse Ottesen ble der beste nordmann nummer 4.